Ladies and gentlemen, evil does not always come in a black cloak or with flashing red eyes. It can come disguised as charm, confidence, even kindness. But behind that mask, there are certain traits, consistent patterns that all truly evil people tend to display. One of the most unmistakable signs of an evil person is their comfort with lying, not just occasionally, not just to avoid trouble, but habitually and strategically. Lying becomes second nature to them. It's not about preserving peace or sparing feelings. It's about control, manipulation, and dominance over truth itself. They lie to cover up their wrongdoings, yes, but it goes deeper than that. They lie to distort your reality. They'll rewrite history in front of your eyes, insist things happened a certain way when they didn't, or deny things you know they said. Over time, this pattern of deception chips away at your sense of clarity. You start to wonder if you're the one who's confused. Evil people don't just lie about big things either. They lie about small, unnecessary details just to test the waters, to see how much they can get away with. They study your reactions like a scientist observing a test subject, noting which lies spark confrontation and which ones you let slide. Then they use that knowledge to manipulate you even further. What's worse, they often lie with charm. Their lies can sound sweet, convincing, and even compassionate. That's what makes them so dangerous. While most people lie with guilt or hesitation, evil people lie with confidence, with a straight face. Sometimes even with a smile, they can pass a lie detector because to them, the truth is simply whatever benefits them most in the moment. They lie about who they are, what they want, what they've done, and what they intend to do. They may lie to separate you from people who care about you, creating doubt and division between you and your support system. They lie to maintain an image, to gain power, and to create chaos. And if they're caught, they rarely confess. They just lie more deeply, spinning new stories to cover the old ones. To them, honesty isn't a virtue, it's a weakness. The truth is inconvenient, so they bury it, twist it, rewrite it, and they'll keep doing it until you don't know which way is up. And that's exactly how they want it. A profound lack of empathy is one of the core characteristics of truly evil individuals. Empathy, the ability to understand and feel what another person is going through, is the foundation of human connection, compassion, and morality. When someone lacks empathy, they are emotionally detached from the consequences of their actions, no matter how harmful those actions may be. Evil people are not just indifferent to others' pain, they are often completely unmoved by it. They can witness someone cry, break down, or suffer deeply and feel absolutely nothing. In some cases, they may even feel satisfaction or amusement at another's pain. They may respond to suffering with a blank stare, a cold smile, or worse, with blame. Rather than showing concern, they may say things like, "You're being dramatic," or "That's your problem, not mine." This emotional void is what allows them to act without remorse. While most people wrestle with guilt or regret after doing harm, evil individuals move on without a second thought. They don't care if their words humiliate someone. They don't care if their actions cause emotional trauma. They don't care if they're destroying trust, security, or someone's sense of self. As long as they get what they want, comfort, control, admiration, revenge, they are willing to overlook any collateral damage they cause. But here's what makes this even more dangerous. Many evil people pretend to have empathy. They know how to mimic concern. They may say the right things at the right time, use the right tone, even cry when it benefits them, but it's all an act. They're not moved by your pain. They're studying it. They learn how to fake human emotion in order to disarm suspicion and continue manipulating. You might think, they must care, they said all the right things, but watch their actions, not just their words. They also tend to view other people as tools or stepping stones. To them, emotions are weaknesses to exploit, not experiences to respect. They'll listen to your problems if it helps them gain your trust. They'll comfort you if it makes you easier to control. But at their core, they don't care about your feelings. They care about outcomes. And once you no longer serve a purpose, they discard you without a trace of guilt. People who lack empathy can be chilling in their calmness. They stay emotionally unaffected in situations that would devastate a normal person. When someone is suffering, an empathic person feels moved to help. An evil person either feels nothing or worse, feels empowered. That's the terrifying reality of a heart that's grown cold. Gaslighting is one of the most insidious tools in the arsenal of an evil person. It's a slow, calculated erosion of your sense of reality, designed to make you doubt your memory, your perception, your instincts, even your sanity. This isn't just lying, it's psychological warfare. An evil person doesn't just want to deceive you, they want to control the way you think. They want to bend your version of reality until it matches theirs, even if it means convincing you that up is down, wrong is right, and your gut feelings can't be trusted. And they do this with frightening skill. Gaslighting often starts subtly. They deny saying something you clearly remember. They claim events happened differently than you recall. They'll say things like, "You're remembering it wrong," or "I never said that, you must be confused." At first you might brush it off. Everyone misremembers things sometimes, right? But it continues. And over time these small denials accumulate into something much more damaging: self-doubt. You start to question yourself. You become unsure about what's real and what's not. You second guess your emotions, your reactions, your memories. You begin to rely on the manipulator's version of the truth, because it's easier than constantly feeling like your own mind is betraying you. This is the evil genius of gaslighting. It makes you complicit in your own manipulation. You become less confident, less vocal, and more dependent on the gaslighter for clarity and validation. And the more confused and insecure you become, the easier it is for them to dominate and control you. Gaslighting doesn't just distort facts, it attacks your very sense of self. The evil person will often reframe your reactions as irrational or dramatic. If you get upset, they'll say you're overreacting. If you try to hold them accountable, they'll say you're being too sensitive. They'll flip the script so effectively that you start apologizing to them for being hurt by their abuse. They also isolate you mentally, emotionally, and sometimes physically. They might convince you that other people are against you, that your friends are toxic, or that your family doesn't understand you. Why? Because the more isolated you are, the easier it is for them to control your entire perspective. And perhaps the darkest part, they do it all while maintaining a calm, composed, rational front. So if you ever try to explain what's happening, you sound unstable while they look innocent. This kind of manipulation is not just cruel, it's deliberate. It's a long game that requires patience, strategy, and a total disregard for the emotional well-being of others. Evil people don't gaslight by accident. They do it because it works, because it breaks people down, because it gives them power. Evil people are masters of exploitation. They see other people not as individuals with feelings, needs, and boundaries, but as tools, resources, and opportunities. Their relationships are never based on mutual respect or genuine connection. They are transactional, calculated, and driven by self-interest. They will take whatever they can from you: your time, your energy, your trust, your money, your status, your vulnerability, and do so without a hint of guilt. If you have something they want, they will find a way to extract it. And once they get it, they move on, or worse, they keep taking until you're emotionally, mentally, or financially drained. There is no sense of fairness or balance in how they operate. You could give and give and give, and they would still feel entitled to more. In fact, the more you give, the more they expect. And if you ever stop giving, if you draw a line or ask for something in return, they'll flip the narrative, accuse you of being selfish, ungrateful, or even abusive. Evil people often target those who are generous, empathetic, or eager to please. They exploit kindness because it's easy. They know that decent people want to be helpful, want to be liked, want to maintain peace. So they create situations where saying no feels like betrayal or abandonment. They manipulate your compassion and turn it into a weakness they can use. They may present themselves as victims in need of rescue. They might exaggerate their struggles or fabricate problems to get your sympathy. You'll feel like helping them is the right thing to do, the noble thing. But soon it becomes clear that their needs are endless and their gratitude is fleeting, if it exists at all. What they want is not support, it's supply. They feed off what you give, and when you're empty, they move to the next source. And let's be clear, this exploitation isn't always dramatic or obvious. Sometimes it's subtle. It looks like always expecting you to accommodate them, but never returning the favor. It shows up in double standards, broken promises, and invisible emotional labor that's always one-sided. You might find yourself constantly rearranging your life around their demands, slowly losing touch with your own priorities. What separates evil individuals from merely selfish ones is that they know exactly what they're doing and they feel no remorse. They don't feel guilty for draining others. They don't lie awake at night regretting the way they use someone. In fact, they often feel superior for being able to do it. To them, taking advantage of others isn't wrong. It's smart. It's just how they win. They view morality as optional, conscience as an inconvenience, and shame? It doesn't exist in their world. If they can take something from you and get away with it, they will, and they'll do it again, and again, and again. One of the most defining traits of an evil person is their obsession with power, not the healthy kind that comes from leadership or confidence, but the destructive kind that requires others to be weakened, silenced, or dominated. Control is not just something they enjoy, it's something they need. It fuels them. It affirms their sense of superiority. It gives them the illusion of safety in a world they secretly fear losing control over. Evil individuals don't just want influence, they want ownership over people, over relationships, over environments. They want to dictate the mood, set the rules, define the narrative, and ultimately control how others think, feel, and behave. They want to orchestrate situations in such a way that everyone else becomes reactive while they remain in control of the script. And they rarely do this through obvious aggression, at least not at first. Often their control comes through subtle, calculated methods. They may use guilt, fear, obligation, silence, or flattery to get what they want. They know how to read a room, how to push buttons, how to sense insecurities and use them as leverage. And they love creating dynamics where people walk on eggshells around them, constantly trying to avoid conflict, constantly adjusting their behavior to stay in the safe zone. Their power plays extend into every area of life: romantic relationships, friendships, families, workplaces. If they're in a relationship, they might control what their partner wears, who they talk to, or how they spend their time. If they're in a professional setting, they might micromanage every detail, sabotage colleagues behind closed doors, or manipulate higher-ups to gain favor while keeping others beneath them. Control is also how they maintain their image. They may present themselves as humble, kind, or emotionally intelligent to outsiders. Meanwhile, behind closed doors, they're controlling through intimidation, passive aggression, or mental manipulation. They may build an entire persona to keep people off balance and make it harder for others to call out their behavior. If someone speaks up, they're quick to discredit them, gaslight them, or portray them as unstable. What's especially dangerous is how addicted they become to this control. When something threatens their grip, when someone sets a boundary, questions their authority, or starts to see through the manipulation, they often lash out. Not always loudly, but effectively. They might smear you, turn others against you, or retaliate in quiet, cruel ways that others don't immediately see. To them, losing control feels like humiliation, and they will go to great lengths to avoid it, even if it means destroying relationships, reputations, or someone's peace of mind. This relentless need for control is not situational, it's woven into their identity. They don't feel alive unless they're dominating someone, influencing outcomes, or pulling strings behind the scenes. And they often justify their behavior by claiming they're just strong-minded or being a leader. But true strength uplifts. Evil control suffocates. And make no mistake, this kind of control isn't about love, protection, or structure. It's about domination. It's about power for power's sake. And they'll take it any way they can get it, whether through fear, confusion, silence, or forced dependence. One of the most deceptive traits of evil people is how incredibly charming they can be, especially at first. They know exactly how to present themselves as likable, attentive, witty, even magnetic. They can light up a room, make you feel seen, heard, and special. They often seem like the perfect partner, friend, coworker, or leader. This charm, however, is not authentic. It's a carefully crafted mask, an act designed to lower your defenses and gain your trust. You might meet them and think, wow, they really understand me. They mirror your interests, remember the little details, validate your feelings, and create a sense of intimacy very quickly. It feels effortless, like you've known them forever. But it's all intentional. This early stage charisma is part of a well-rehearsed performance. They're not getting to know you because they care. They're gathering information. They're learning your vulnerabilities, your values, your boundaries, and most importantly, how to bypass them. This phase is often called love bombing in relationships or idealization and manipulation psychology. It's an intense flood of attention, praise, and connection, but it doesn't last. Once you're hooked, once they know they have your loyalty, your affection, or your trust, the mask slowly begins to slip. Their behavior becomes inconsistent. The warmth fades, replaced with subtle cruelty, criticism, withdrawal, or control. And because they've already built up such a powerful illusion of who they are, you begin to doubt your instincts when the darkness you wonder, maybe they're just stressed, or maybe I did something wrong. You blame yourself, not realizing you're being emotionally dismantled by design. That's the second phase, the destruction. And it's often slow and deliberate. They start to test your limit. They might mock you in front of others, ignore your boundaries, or start treating you with cold indifference. They may become unpredictable, affectionate one moment and cruel the next. This emotional whiplash keeps you off balance and desperate to get back to the good version of them, the one that probably never truly existed. And here's the harsh truth: evil people enjoy this process. They don't just hurt you by accident, they take pleasure in watching others struggle to figure them out. Watching you become confused, self-doubting, emotionally dependent, it gives them a rush. It's proof, in their mind, of how much power they have, how much control. They might even start planting doubts about you in the minds of others, slowly damaging your reputation while maintaining their own. They'll make comments like, "She's been acting strange lately," or "He's a bit too sensitive, don't you think?" That way, if you ever speak up about what they're doing, people won't believe you. They've already painted the picture that you're the unstable one. And just when you think it can't get worse, just when you gather the courage to walk away or confront them, they might suddenly flip back to their charming self again. A grand apology, a dramatic gesture, a flood of love and attention, and for a moment you think maybe it was just a rough patch, maybe they've changed. But it's a cycle, one they've repeated with others before you, and will repeat again. Their charm is never about connection, it's bait. And once you've taken it, the destruction begins. One of the most manipulative tactics an evil person will use, often with expert precision, is the victim role. At first glance, it may seem strange. Why would someone who craves power, control, and domination pretend to be weak, helpless, or wounded? But that's exactly what makes this strategy so effective. When someone frames themselves as the victim, it immediately shifts the emotional balance. It creates sympathy, blurs accountability, and redirects attention away from their harmful behavior. They do this because it works. Evil individuals understand that if they appear vulnerable, they can trigger the natural empathy and compassion of good people. They'll tell stories of how they've been wronged, mistreated, misunderstood, or attacked by people who were simply setting boundaries or calling out the truth. They paint themselves as the innocent party, even in situations where they were clearly the aggressor. They revise the past to suit their narrative, often erasing their own actions and recasting others as villains. They might say things like, "I've done so much for them, and this is how they repay me. No one ever understands me, they just judge. Everyone always leaves me, I guess I'm just not worth it." These phrases are often loaded with guilt, carefully designed to make you feel like you're hurting them, even when you're simply trying to protect yourself. This tactic is emotionally disarming. You may find yourself questioning your reactions, backtracking on your decisions, or offering them comfort even when they were the one who caused harm. That's exactly what they want. And the act doesn't stop at just words. Evil people will sometimes cry, break down, or isolate themselves theatrically, not because they're truly hurt, but because they know it pulls people back in. They weaponize pity. They use vulnerability as a mask to hide manipulation. And once they've regained control, the tears dry, the stories stop, and the destructive behavior resumes, like nothing happened. Another version of playing the victim is the perpetual martyr. This person always seems to be suffering, sacrificing, or being mistreated, at least in their version of events. They use this narrative to gain attention, deflect criticism, and justify toxic behavior. "I've been through so much" becomes an excuse for anger, disrespect, or cruelty. They'll say things like, "You don't understand what I've been through," as a way to silence confrontation and avoid accountability. In group settings, this manipulation becomes even more dangerous. Evil people will often spin a victim story to others behind your back. They might say, "I tried everything to make it work," or "I don't know why they're so angry with me. I've only ever wanted peace." And because they're often charismatic and skilled at storytelling, others believe them. You end up looking like the unreasonable one, while they maintain their carefully crafted image of innocence. By playing the victim, evil people can justify anything from betrayal to abuse. After all, in their story, they're just reacting to being hurt. They rewrite the rules of right and wrong by flipping the script and painting themselves as the wounded party. It's a deeply manipulative inversion of morality, one that allows them to harm others without consequences, while still receiving support, loyalty, and sympathy. And the most disturbing part, they do it so convincingly, even they may start to believe it. Their sense of entitlement is so strong that they truly feel wronged when someone dares to challenge them or say no. They see accountability as betrayal and boundaries as cruelty. In their minds, being questioned equals being victimized. This manipulation is not accidental. It is practiced, rehearsed, and weaponized, because as long as they can be seen as the victim, they never have to face who they really are. One of the clearest signs you're dealing with a truly toxic or evil person is their absolute refusal to grow, change, or take responsibility for their actions. No matter how many times they're confronted, no matter how much harm they cause, no matter how obvious their behavior becomes, they simply will not own it. They avoid accountability like it's poison. And to them, in a way, it is. Because to take accountability would mean admitting fault. It would mean letting go of control. It would mean revealing the cracks in the image they've so carefully constructed. Evil people are allergic to self-reflection. You won't hear them say, "You're right, I overreacted," or "I shouldn't have treated you that way," or "I need to work on that part of myself." Instead, they deny, deflect, minimize, or outright blame others for everything. When you bring up something they've done that hurt you, they twist the conversation to make you feel like you're the problem. They make you feel like you're overanalyzing, being too emotional, or holding on to things that should be forgotten. Even when the evidence is undeniable, text messages, witnesses, patterns of behavior, they'll find a way to spin it. "It wasn't that serious. You're making it into something it's not. That's not how I remember it." They live in a constant state of denial, not because they don't understand what they did, but because they refuse to give up the power they hold by never admitting they were wrong. This unwillingness to grow doesn't just hurt others, it keeps the evil person stuck in a cycle of repeated damage. They never learn. They never evolve. They repeat the same manipulative patterns with every new person in their life. They leave a trail of broken relationships, betrayed friends, damaged family ties, and destroyed trust, but always see themselves as the common victim, never the common denominator. What's worse is how they treat people who do try to hold them accountable. Instead of appreciating the honesty, they retaliate. They may become cold, vindictive, dismissive, or even aggressive. To them, being called out is a threat, not an opportunity. They may ghost you, shame you, talk badly about you, or try to ruin your credibility. They don't seek truth, they seek domination. And if truth threatens that, it must be silenced. You might hope that over time they'll reflect, that they'll realize what they've done, that they'll change. But evil people don't grow because they don't believe they need to. In their mind, they are always justified, always right, always the smarter one, always the one who was forced into bad behavior by someone else's actions. They live in a fantasy where they're both the mastermind and the misunderstood. You'll rarely, if ever, hear a genuine apology from them. And if you do, it's likely manipulative. Apologies from evil people often come with strings attached. "I'm sorry you felt that way. I said I'm sorry, what more do you want?" These non-apologies aren't about accountability. They're about diffusing conflict just long enough to keep their control intact. There is no humility, no sense of introspection, no desire to grow into a better person. That's because true growth requires discomfort, honesty, and empathy, three things evil people actively avoid. They see personal growth as weakness, accountability as surrender, and vulnerability as a threat to their superiority. They don't evolve because evolution would require facing the truth about themselves, and the truth is the one thing they can never fully confront. In conclusion, understanding these signs, how evil people manipulate, control, gaslight, and refuse to grow, can empower us to protect ourselves and others. The danger lies not just in their actions but in their ability to deceive, distort reality, and make us question our own sense of self. Recognizing these traits is the first step toward taking back control, setting boundaries, and refusing to be part of their destructive cycle. The most important thing we can do is trust ourselves. Trust our instincts when something feels off. Trust our ability to see through false facades. And never underestimate the strength it takes to walk away from someone who's toxic, no matter how charming or manipulative they may be. In doing so, we not only protect our peace, but we also allow space for true growth, compassion, and healthy relationships. Remember, evil doesn't need to be loud or violent to be dangerous. Often it's quiet, subtle, and so skillfully disguised that it can be hard to spot. But once you know the signs, you can break free, keep your integrity intact, and keep your life free from their grip. So stay aware, stay strong, and above all, stay true to yourself. Because in a world filled with deception, your truth is your greatest defense.